Hi there. So, this is a video reply to a video that is a reply to the first video on this channel, which is titled, Do We Have Free Will? So, you made some interesting points, man. I agree. There is definitely things that the human body, human mind is not able to detect. The UV and infrared light that you mentioned. Science obviously is a good tool for us to discover all kinds of things that we are not able to discover without technology, and it keeps proving that the more we discover, the more we realize that there is more going on than meets the eye. Lots of invisible shit's going on. The Big Bangs, echo, the radioactive or radio, whatever the fuck it's called, some sort of radioactive noise is out there hissing in space. I mean, I don't know if it's hissing. Our sensors pick it up as a hissing noise, or we interpret it as a hissing noise, whatever. We can't detect that with this apparatus here. Before science came along, before quantum physics came along, we didn't know that light was a wave. We didn't know that light had to get from an object that is illuminating or luminescent, whatever you want to call it, that the light from there has to get to our eyes. We didn't know there was a delay in that, in the light. So we didn't even know that we were looking back in time at like distant stars. So science helps us understand all kinds of stuff, and obviously we are not done yet. There's all kinds of stuff to discover. And I would say it is logical to think that it's possible that there is more going on with the human body and human mind than we currently understand. Looks like I completely foregone setting up the focus. There we go. Such as high-tech DSLRs, giving you all the control that you want when it comes to making your professional film, your independent film. Anyway, this is just a YouTube video, so we don't need any of that shit. Now, it also seems that a whole lot of people have like an emotional investment in the two potential scenarios. The idea that we have a whole lot more going on. There's a whole lot more to us than just this flesh that we see. And the other scenario, that there is nothing more going on, and that all we are is just this flesh, and there's not much more. People usually tend to lean towards the idea that there is a whole lot more going on. And I'm not surprised about that. I mean, when you leave something open, it gives a chance to for people to have really high hopes. There's a sense of mystery to it. There's a sense of undiscovered adventure in that idea, and of course that attracts people. But if these things become known, if we scientifically discover whatever more there is to the human body, the human being, it's just going to become known, like all the stuff that has become known. It's not going to be magical. It's not going to have the sense of magic that we so often seem to that so many people seem to attribute to things that they don't know much about. They attribute this sort of sense of magic to it. Well, once these things become known, we're not going to be thinking of it so magically, because we will know it. It'll be laid down for us, like any other pile of facts that science has discovered. Or theories, but I'm talking about facts here. So once it becomes known, it will not be so mysterious anymore. There will not be a sense of adventure in it. So I think that emotional investment can be fun, but it can also be sort of childish to have such high hopes for something that we don't fully know. I keep flying real low toward near the surface of religion here, but I don't think that I'm not going to get into it right now. Maybe later in some videos we can get into that subject as well. Let's just hope we can actually get out of it, because it's fucking vast. But I personally don't really hold that much of an emotional investment in one or the other. I mean, of course, I would like there to be more to us than just, you know, us being this meat robot. But one way or the other doesn't hold that much weight for me, or doesn't weigh that much to me. And here's why. Whether or not there is more to us, we can't deny the fact that we are capable of experiencing such heights of emotional and spiritual sensations, positive and negative, that things are already, we can already experience such vastness. I mean, that's why that's why we're unsure, because I mean, if all we are is this flesh, then look how fucking vast this flesh is. Look how amazing this human brain is, if that's all we have. And if there is more going on, then we could say, duh, of course there's more going on. Look how vast we are. So I think either one could be true. Why not? We haven't discovered everything about the human brain. We haven't discovered everything about the human body fully. We don't perfectly understand everything, and everybody is different too. I had this so small little idea of, you know, it took so much time for us to evolve for organisms throughout time. And so I imagined, you know, this scenario, and I'm not saying I believe it, but I imagined this scenario. You know, what if, throughout evolution, for us as a species to be able to sort of stay around without completely destroying each other or destroying ourselves, we have developed this telepathic network. And right now we can call it telepathy. Later on we'll call it something else, because if we ever discover it, we'll give it a more scientifically sound, a more scientifically sounding name. I mean, fuck, there is already telepathy. The fact that you're watching this video is telepathy, because these are thoughts that come from me, recorded by this camera, which is already pretty goddamn amazing by some standards. Goes up on the internet, and from the internet it goes to you. Telepathy again. So this is already one of those things. And see, that's another example, by the way. You can see how our discovery of how something functions takes away our perspective of it being magic. Because, I mean, magic by definition, I don't know the actual definition, but magic by some definition, you know, is basically saying, oh my god, this is so incredible. Why is this glowing blue? It's magic. Medieval people would have said, yes, it's magic, because they don't understand it, but understanding it takes away this magic. Now you brought up something else, singularity, and, you know, the will of the whole, and we human beings, how we feel separate from the whole, maybe even as individuals, and, you know, feeling separate thus creates this perspective that our will is separate because of feeling that we are separate from the whole. So, and by the way, maybe that's why our will clashes with the whole, because we always think of our will as separate from the rest. I mean, you got a being who would think of their own will as being the same as the will of the whole, and that think of themselves as being part of, and not just part of, but being the whole. You know, they would become, you know, becoming one with everything. Would have no reason to clash with anything, and that this is sort of the idea that I started pondering about once you brought up this singularity / separation thing, which I think is a pretty cool idea. And this has to do with evolution, and how enlightenment would tie in with the human species. And I don't know if enlightenment exists or not, but I pondered it quite often, and I think it's fun. Many people hope that our species would become enlightened at some point. You know, we would become an enlightened species, and we would no longer war with each other. We would no longer kill each other for lowly reasons. You take a being, imagine that they gain enlightenment. They become one with everything. Their will becomes one with the will of the whole, And at that point, since the whole, since everything includes the living, but also includes the non-living, if you have the will of the whole at heart, if you are one with everything, that means you are no longer interested or committed to living. You are one with everything, so you are committed neutrally, not to either of the two. Living or dead, living or non-living, makes no difference to that being. And so, if you think of it in a genetic, genetic pool, sort of evolutionary perspective, I don't know if we could evolve into enlightened beings, because enlightened beings that are enlightened inherently, because beings who are enlightened don't give a shit about one, living, and two, reproducing. If you don't reproduce, you're not passing on your genes, whatever your genes may contain, whether you're a dumbass or if you're enlightened or whatever. And I don't know if intelligence has anything to do with enlightenment, by the way. Just throwing that out there, something to contemplate. I don't know. So, yeah, I'll drink to that, and let's get this channel rolling.